Of all the myths in the world, the very worst myths are the myths about mothers. They don't even have the virtue of being funny, as some myths do. Problem is that among professional people, there is an unspoken, unwritten law that says, in essence, that all mothers are idiots and there is no truth in them. The sadness about that is mothers know more about their babies than anybody in the world does. There's a real danger that mothers are going to be bullied out of their instincts by we professional people. Mother reads an article in a journal by a PhD, very often a bachelor, who says, spare the rod and spoil the child. You ought to beat him up every Tuesday whether he needs it or not. And mother thinks, that doesn't sound right to me, but I'm only a mother. And then she reads another article that says, never lay a finger on your child or he'll grow up to hate your guts. And mother says, that doesn't sound right either, but I'm only a mother. I have an idea that any time a mother felt it would be a good idea to lay one in the seat of the kid's pants or to pick him up and love him, she did so, that she'd be right 99% of the time. I don't think we professionals are right about anything 99% of the time. Mothers, without any help at all, have gotten us from the Australopithecine caves of 1 million years ago to now. Up until 200 years ago, there weren't any pediatricians or obstetricians or child brain developmentalists, and she did it all by herself, and pretty good job. Here we are. Mothering was the first profession, not that other one, mothering. Some people have said of us, and they don't intend it as a compliment, all those people are doing is driving mothers and kids closer together. Well, that's not all we're doing by a long shot. But I must say, if somebody someday carves on my tombstone, he drove mothers and kids closer together, I'll rest well.
豚はどこですか？はい。はい、豚。Okay. 犬はどこですか？ナサル犬。いえ。Which one? いえ。はい、そうです。犬。猿はどこですか？猿。
There are certain single lines in this program which, if you really understand them, are worth the price of the program many times over. One of these lines is that function determines structure. And the second is that the brain grows by use. Everybody understands that in a physical context, in a muscular context. Everybody knows that if I pick up 25-pound weights over and over again, that I'll get big biceps. If you pick up 50 pounds over and over again, you'll get bigger biceps. Then you'll have two advantages over me. The first is you can lift twice as much as I can. Secondly, if we're both going to pick up an additional 25 pounds, I'll have to double my ability, and you won't. Now, neurophysiologists have understood this for a long time. For instance, one of the great teams a long time ago, 30 years ago, 35 years ago, at Berkeley were Kresch, Rosenzweig, and Diamond. Here's what they did, very sane thing. They took two groups of rats. They took one group of rats actually and divided them into two, a litter of rats. Litter mates in this group, litter mates in this group. One was a control group and the other was the functional group. One group of rats were raised in relative deprivation, environmental deprivation, with very little to see, hear, feel, taste, and smell. They're the 5 paths into the brain. They weren't in darkness or silence. The other rats, their littermate brothers and sisters, were raised in environmental enrichment with a great deal to see, hear, feel, taste, and smell. After a very short time of this, at very young ages, these rats their intelligence was measured. They were put in a maze with food at the other end. The rats which had been raised in environmental deprivation were not intelligent in the sense that they had great difficulty finding the food. Their littermate brothers and sisters raised in enrichment found the food very, very quickly. Then they actually examined the rats' brains. And in the rats' brains, which had been raised in relative environmental deprivation, they had small, stupid, undeveloped brains. Their littermate brothers and sisters raised in environmental enrichment had large, highly intelligent, highly functional brains. Science is not always wise, and wisdom is not always scientific. David Koresh, a true scientist, said, "It would be scientifically unjustifiable to assume that because this is true in rats, it is also true in human beings. That's scientifically fine." Then he added great wisdom. He said, "And it would be socially criminal to assume that this were not true in human beings." There are 5 pathways into human brains. We can see, hear, feel, taste, and smell. During the first 6 years of life, the human brain grows at a tremendous rate. The tiny child takes in raw data faster than at any other time in his life, and the older he gets, the slower he takes it in. And that data, going through those 5 pathways, literally, physically grows the brain. Now, Dave and his group had a problem. They couldn't turn their rats into people, and therefore prove that what was true in rats was also true in people. We had a problem. We couldn't take our children, whose brains we grow at a huge rate, and cut their brains up and look at them. Finally, we met, these 2 groups, and fell into each other's arms. Everything that they couldn't prove, we could, and everything we couldn't prove, they could. The brain grows by use, and the younger you are, the faster it grows.
They will suck up anything. They want it, just give it to them. If you like doing it, if you're happy doing it, they will be happy receiving it. And if the child is not ready for it, don't give it to them. If they're ready for it, you have to take your cue from your baby and just be happy.